this record on my computer. Okay, so as I work through this information, I work through these numbers, I work through these 6 criteria, I'm going to track points, I'm going to track how many additions to my sphere of influence, I'm going to track my total sphere of influence so I know relatively I'm going up. If this is going up, but this is not going up, you're lying to yourself. Then I'm going to track how many leads I generate out of that sphere of influence. I'm going to track how many contracts I'm getting out of that. And then I'm going to track how many closings I have. So in 12 months, we can reverse engineer this, back the truck up. You're going to hit the backup beeper, right? You're going to beep, 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 beep. Okay, what happened in the last 12 months? Like we were just talking about, in the first 2-3 months, you're going to have 1 closing here, 1 closing there. Then you're going to have 1 closing consistently. Then you have 1 closing, then 2 closings. Then you have 1, 1, then 2, and then 1, 2, 2, 1, and then 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. And by the end of this 12 months, you should be averaging around 2 closings per month. And if you're doing that, then I know you're working your sphere of influence of 200 people consistently. So what I also know is if I take this at the 12-month mark and say, if I just keep doing this for the next 12 months, I will be at 24 closings in the next year. So as you're building your real estate business, it's really important that you understand the reality of this thing is simple in that you just break it down to the simplest numbers. You don't need 24 closings today or 20 closings today. You just need the next one. And right now, we're going to build your affirmation. So your affirmation is going to be, I have 2 or more smooth closings every month. And you keep saying that over and over and over. And it's going to reinforce you getting points. It's going to reinforce you adding people to your sphere of influence because you know what the recipe is. I need to be at 200. So right now you're at 70 people. You need to add 130. We figured we're going to add 3 people per week or 12 people per month. And that'll put us well over where you need to be for the year to be over 200. So you'll be at 214 people in your sphere of influence. So I can reverse engineer your whole business. I know if you want to have 2 smooth closings every month, you need to have 2+ contracts every month because not every contract closes. So when you do a really good job of pre-qualifying your buyers, you do a really good job of working with your sellers, you're prepping everything, dotting your I's and crossing your T's, you should have about a 90-95% closing rate. But nationally, so like when I ran the real estate business nationally, we had 900 agents, almost $1 billion in sales. We would have about a 5% fall through. That was normal because some deals just blow up. Some inspections blow up. Some deals just blow up. Not unusual at all to have a 5 to 10% failure rate in a contract. So it goes under contract. We know 9 out of 10 of them are going to close. So if I see $100 million in closing setup, I know 90 of them are going to close. And then 10 million of those are going to push off to the next month for one reason or another. And 5% of them are typically going to blow up. So we'll get them, but we're not going to get them all in that month. They do trickle along, and then you have issues and inspection issues and repairs that didn't get done and things like that. So I know I need to have 2+ contracts per month. If I'm going to have 2+ contracts a month, I need to have 4 to 5 leads come in. And that 4 to 5 leads comes in means I have 4 or 5 people saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing something. They're not going to do something today. That's the problem in the real estate business. There's such a delayed gratification between the time somebody says, I'm thinking about doing something and the time they close. That incubation period between the time they start and the time they actually close is typically around 6 months. So if I get the next 2 or 3 months, I get 4 or 5 of these, I'm going to get 2 or so under contract over the next couple months. So if you're starting from 0 today, you'll get a couple people now going, hey, Bob, I'm thinking about buying something. Let's start that conversation. And then you got to say, okay, probably in the next 6 months, these people are realistically going to go. So I need to make sure these numbers work, right? So your total sphere of influence right now is 70, and you need to grow it to 200. So at the 12-month mark, if you're at 200, I know over the next 12 months, you're going to be able to generate 20 sales or more out of there. And with our goal being 2 smooth closings every month, you should be at closer to 24. So all of this goes along. So here's the cool part. At the 6-month mark, you should be able to back these numbers up and go, hey, where am I at, right? At the 6-month mark, starting from ground zero, starting from a stop, you've got an acceleration phase, right? So like think about a car. Car accelerates from 0 to 60 in mine 3.8 seconds, which is pretty cool. And then once it gets up to 60, man, it's moving. It's doing 60 miles an hour. So over the same amount of distance, it's going to be way faster because it's starting at the beginning of that point at 60. It starts at the beginning of the month at 60 miles an hour. And it's doing 60 miles an hour all the way to the end of the month versus starting at 0 and rolling up to 60. So what's going to happen is you're going to have that 1 here, 1 there. And then it's going to be one here, two there, one, two, 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 like we talked about before, right? And this is how this business starts to roll. So whether you're starting from zero or you're reinventing yourself and restarting up or pushing or going from one tier to the next, this is what that growth phase looks like. That growth phase looks like this. Or actually, the growth phase looks actually more like this, Bob, because I want this to be realistic. Right? And then you'll plateau off at 20. Okay? So here's month number 1, here's month number 6, and you might say, well, Russ, I didn't really do it. It seems like nothing's happening in the first 6 months. Like there's a ton happening, but you don't get the results from them till here, right? So this is the next 6 months. You know, so I'm going to have 2 to 3 closings here, and then I'm going to have more like what, 16 to 17 here. Okay, that's how that thing works, right? This is in skateboarding, we call this a launch ramp. You know, like you start off on the flat ground and you get to the top, and boom, and it pops you up in the air and gets a real altitude off of that thing, right? And this is the way a business normally grows. This is the way a business normally builds. So as you're starting over, like let's say COVID stopped my business, this is what a restart looks like. And if you start with 200 people that you already have a relationship, that's good. If you don't, then you got to start building points, building that relationship. And again, if you're not getting a 10% return on your sphere of influence, it's usually steps 2, 3, and 4, which are the deliver value, making phone calls, delivering handwritten personal notes. It's the stuff that makes it personable and builds a relationship that makes all the difference in the world. And that's how you build your business and restart from a complete stop.